We good to go? All right, let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to start off here with application Z 2022. Oh, our roll call first, sorry. Yeah, yep. Here.
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 Have your house land.
All right, we'd start with application Z 2022-07. Georgiana Kane, 251 Arden Road, Broomall, pertaining to the subject property at 0 Farview Road, Newtown Square. The property owner is seeking variance relief and special exception approval to construct a single-family dwelling on the property, which is considered a non-conforming lot in accordance with the provisions of sections 172-34B and 172-141. Applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R3 zoning district. Do we have anyone here for this case?
Good evening,
Yep, how are you?
How you doing?
Good. So I know we closed out the record on this one, so our only issue here is just to make a decision on this application. Right, all right. And do we have a motion?
Sorry.
Is your microphone on, miss?
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you'll be.
There were some questions at the last hearing with respect to the building height. So we had provided an architectural elevational plan that showed the varying height for the proposed building. And depending on the grade, it's slightly deviated from, I believe it was between 700 feet to 30 feet, just a little over 30 feet. 27, that's what I said. So we just wanted to, if the board has no objection, we had asked Mr. Rezchek if he could provide that information to the other parties who were present at that time as well, just to answer the question that the board had regarding the building height.
Okay. Is that anything additional, just more about the height?
That's it.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. And is there a motion on this application?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve application Z 2022-07 for 0 Farview Road with the following conditions. That the maximum building height above grade be limited to 27 feet. That the building construction and description be restricted by testimony or as testified. That either a 6-foot privacy fence or sufficient landscaping that provides an equal buffer be installed on the neighbor's side adjacent on Farview Road. And that all other permitting conditions, stormwater management be adhered to.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can I just ask for clarification on the maximum building height? Is that the overall average of all 4 sides? Because as I mentioned, the building height deviates from 27 feet to 30 feet, depending on the grade. So would that be interpreted to mean as long as the overall average of all 4 sides does not exceed 27 feet, if that makes sense?
But
What if there is
but
a,
if it's, I get what the question is.
Yeah.
Let's go 27 feet above average grade.
Is it,
Is that fair?
Does that
It's
work?
do you know how it's
slopes. Yeah, it
slope?
slopes. down Main.
Is the high side on
It's on the Farview.
the
heading
front of the
east,
home?
On the
The
side.
high side is at the driveway.
I see.
Will that work for you? Huh?
Yeah, 27 from the highest.
From the highest.
Elevation
27
on
from
the
the highest.
property. From the
Because
highest.
the
Right,
house
which
could
would
be
be-
30 at the lower.
Okay.
So I
It's definitely
restate the condition, no higher than 27 feet
Right,
above grade.
Okay,
above the highest point.
All right, and we'll, is there a second?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
All motion carries, so
thank you.
Thank you very much.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Yep. All right, good luck.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Sam. Is your microphone on? No, that's fine. I know some people in the back were saying they couldn't hear
My
us, so.
apologies.
No worries. Our next application is Z 2022-05 Henry DeVoe, 318 First Avenue, pertaining to the subject property. The property owner is seeking a variance relief to construct a residential accessory garage within the front yard setback or 45 feet as identified by section 172-34B, subsection 5, and the definition of a corner lot, sections 172-2. In addition, the applicant requests relief from section 172-34B, subsection 3, for building coverage, as well as section 172-103B, subsection 3, and section 172-103. The applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject property is located in the R3 zoning district. So, and this, just anyone that's here regarding this, this was continued from last month. Do we have anyone here that is a party protestant or wish to make public comment on this application? Public comment? All right, we will get to you. Yep, all right. And I guess we don't do to swear anyone in if they were already,
You're
we
new.
do have an additional person here, so.
So you gotta hit the mic. Let's speak up louder so everybody can hear you.
My name is Gregory Monastra, Monastra.
Yes, sir.
Brendan Neepsey, I'm the contractor.
And files all in order, so we're
Yeah,
Good
we
for you.
we had previously opened the record, so everything
Good.
was previously.
All right. All right. Floor is yours to take us through your new plans.
Yeah, so as you guys know, last month when I was here, I've completely revised the plans. I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to look at it. So before I was proposing 806 square feet. Now I'm proposing 572. So I've downgraded significantly in size. I think this is the lowest amount of variance that I could be asking for that can still work for me. So, I mean, I just made it significantly smaller. I have pictures. You guys asked for pictures. The doors are smaller too. Last time, I think that was part of the problem too. I was asking for 10 by 10 doors. Now they are 9 by 8. So everything is just smaller, and I'm asking for this variance for this square footage. Same place in the yard, too, like placement.
This picture, sorry, I'm just trying to follow the
Yeah. Is that not on
the
the?
dimensions listed on here. Are they,
Yes.
I
So
looks like the top one is the old plan and the
no,
bottom is
so
the new,
yeah,
or
so
just-
the bottom picture is
Backside of
the
it.
backside of
I
it.
see. Okay,
Yeah. There's just a little back door that opens up.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, that the dimensions, I don't know if it's hard to read. It's 22 feet wide, 26 feet long. The one before I was asking was 26 by 31.
It's 11 foot high at the highest point at the peak of the roof.
The walls are 11 feet. I think the roof might be I think it's 13 feet is the peak. Before it was 14, so now it's 13.
And is this still like an all metal structure, kind of like a
Yes.
prefab?
This is the closest picture I could get. I mean, color wise, I'm trying to make it match my house as much as possible, make it look more residential. White with a black roof. Same color as my house. Will be like trim on it too, so plans to do some landscaping around it, make it look as residential as possible and fit in with the neighborhood.
As residential as possible, meaning it's not going to be residential.
It is going to be residential, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, the issue last time was the estoppel, right? Approval by estoppel. Yeah, I mean, so the township's not agreeing to this. Turn your mic on, Rich.
What the township would ask for is the condition be specifically stating that this is to be used for residential, accessory to residential only and not used for commercial purposes.
Yes, sir. That is the plan.
So under the new proposal, the existing garage is being torn down, correct?
Yes, sir.
The proposed garage is being set at a different location than the existing garage.
Yes, it is being shifted over.
Why is that?
Well, right now, the garage is actually only 8 feet from the street, so there's no driveway. So you can't even really back into it even if you tried. I mean, it's pretty much impossible.
Now, I was thinking about the distance from the house.
Oh, I mean, if it was in that same spot and pushed back, it would, I mean, you would come out the back door, it'd be 5 feet in front of you. So it kind of needs to be shifted over regardless if it's going to be that size.
So what's the distance that it is going to be? It's not shown on the diagram. What's the distance it's going to be from the home? Approximately, if you don't have the exact.
So approximately, it should say on the backside, that's 15 feet, 22 feet for the garage. It should be about like 30, 35 feet from the house.
So your current residents, noticing the 22-foot setback for where you're going to do the driveway, is that how far is that in line with your house? Just
Yes, it's
seeing this, like you have 22 feet showing here to the actual garage.
right.
Does that
it's-
stay in line with the house?
Kind of, it's a little bit in front. I mean, just the way it was worked out. I mean, I tried to get it far enough from the street where you can get in, but not too far where you're, because my neighbor's property line is the other side. So he doesn't have a fence. So I don't want to just, the farther I go back, I mean, I think it's like 2 feet off, but if I were to go back, it's just, closer and closer to his property. And I don't, I'm trying to work with everyone, with the neighbors too. So it's not just in the way of everything. If that makes sense. And I would like to have somewhere to park in front, like a little driveway.
And in the area where the existing garage is that is going to be torn down,
Yes, sir.
is that all going to be grassed area? Is that all going to be
Yes.
covered over? It's not
I'm
going
planning
to
on
be.
ripping up the concrete slab underneath and putting grass down. Gonna take a month or two for it to grow up and look, but I'm gonna get on that as soon as it is torn down.
I just want to point out one thing. There's a dimension of 9 feet given from Mailing Street. What we have to make sure of is that the structure itself, if you so approve it, isn't located in the street right away. So if you're inclined to granting this or placing conditions on this application, I would just ask that you place the condition on that the structure remain completely outside of the street right away line.
That 9 foot's on,
Is the
that's the
old
one that's
driveway.
coming down.
That's the old one.
I did the same
That
thing.
first one is the old garage. The next one it's 22 feet off Maley Street.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize.
Andy, given the new location, what are the variances that they're you're requesting?
Well, it would still be the size of the garage. Because it's limited to 500 square feet. The new proposal is 572 square feet. The original review, unfortunately, the new proposal came in yesterday, so I didn't do a new review. So what I previously had in my review letter was the square footage exceeding 500 square feet, the height exceeding 14 feet, the cumulative area exceeding 600 square feet, and the total building coverage exceeding 20%.
In
So the
the,
code sections that I can give you were 172, 103B3,
Mhm.
172, 103F6, 172-34B, friends 3, and also the front yard setback, which would be 134, 172, 34B5.
this
Yeah,
point.
that's why I was asking about it being in line with the existing structure, which,
It's a tricky yard. I mean, the way it's set up, the corner lot, and I understand it's like a non-conforming, that's what, it's just weird yard
Andy,
shape.
Andy, not to put you on the spot, but if it is reduced size structure, put them under the 20%. I know you didn't do the review. I mean, that's something that,
Yeah,
I was going to ask.
It's
if
kind of
they had
there.
a Calculation of the area.
See
Last
if I
time you
can do
came
it
in, you were at
quickly.
24.6. And the ordinance is 20%. Do
right.
you know what the
for your impervious coverage.
reduction is?
So, hold
I can't imagine 200 feet reduction being
on.
a major percentage.
is it gravel? Is it gonna be a gravel driveway or?
That's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah, I want it to be as pervious as possible. So,
I mean,
I mean, with the stormwater,
Well, you gotta be careful because it's pervious or it's not.
Mhm.
Right?
right, so it would be, it would be a gravel driveway that would consist of
Or,
clean
yeah,
fresh air,
yeah, exactly.
pervious paver.
I mean, I'm willing to do a different driveway if that's what,
no, it's not. I don't,
We're not too
just thinking that in terms of what you already have for the size of the garage. That's why I was
I
thinking, looking
understand.
at this going, all right, you're already,
I'm not sure it's gravel. Impervious. I'm
Right.
sure gravel driveway
okay.
You may also want to consider a condition with regard to the, I know he's got landscaping equipment, and trucks, that none of the equipment, there'd be no visible storage of equipment on the property other than within the garage.
Yes, that's the plan, to keep everything.
You're
in
okay
there.
with that condition if the board should so find?
Yes.
I do have that on the reduction. The reduction would actually just exceed the 20% mark by 0.5%. So it was reduced from 24.6% to 20.5%.
And what's,
That's quick math.
no, that's while you were doing your quick math, we were talking about the, if he does a gravel driveway, if that's considered pervious or not by the township code.
Well, I will tell you that stormwater is a whole nother component that the applicant will have to
So
address.
he's gonna have to deal with that beyond this approval
Yeah,
for being
I mean,
over.
from my original calculation, obviously that is going to change because the driveway's been enlarged. If you give me a minute, if you have
Yeah.
other questions, I can
No,
try to.
I mean, if he were to have this under 500 square feet, he wouldn't have to, would he not be dealing with this for stormwater?
Well, we're looking at total impervious, so the change in total impervious, if he's adding 500 square feet or more,
Yeah,
he's going to have some levels on lot stormwater management. So if it's under 1,000 square foot total, he can do it under the simplified approach. If the total, the building and the new paving, and unfortunately we consider stone because it compacts to be impervious, and you can't park. Our ordinance doesn't allow you to park or drive on a stone surface. It's going to have to be either concrete or asphalt. So either way, it's going to add to the total impervious coverage, which will push closer into that fully engineered stormwater system. So the threshold for a fully engineered system is 1,000 square feet of newer altered impervious coverage. So if I can.
Does it take into account removal of existing?
I'm
Does
sorry.
it, sorry, yeah, does it, I get adding X amount has stormwater implications. Does it also factor in if they're removing
Our
impervious?
ordinance does not allow them
Regardless,
to
so-
account for any removed area.
Okay.
Well,
Was that clear? I mean, it can get expensive to just to make sure you know
Yeah,
what you're getting
Pervious
into from
papers,
that.
that's where my head went to.
but even
even
beyond
so,
that,
yeah.
though, just with the footprint of this garage for what you're gonna have to deal with.
I know impervious pavers or stone or whatever, I believe pervious pavers is not 100% pervious, right? So you're going to be within that, pushing that 1,000 foot threshold, which a fully engineered system, just making sure you know what you're getting into, can be costly.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And on that same issue, it looks like there's a walkway in this diagram that runs from the back of the house to the garage and then along the side of the garage. I mean, what is envisioned, or is there anything envisioned for that designation?
Yeah, I think that's just kind of how the drawing was set up. I mean, I'm willing to I'll do, whatever is allowed. I mean, maybe just patio stones, simple, just put them down, patio stones, something like that to walk out to, or I could just keep it just grass. I mean, I'm really just concerned about, having a garage,
Okay.
that is functional.
Just the quick numbers I ran on the new parking based on the dimensions provided. I'm coming up about 1,200 square feet of new proposed impervious with just the driveway and the garage, minus that walkway that's shown between the home and the garage and the new garage. So that would definitely require full stormwater management. And I'm going to try to finish out the new calculation on the impervious coverage.
We're all gonna watch. We're all gonna watch you do this.
Please
Use your
don't.
toes.
And I'm assuming if we moved it closer to Malley Street, then we would have less driveway, which would be less impervious. Right now, 22 feet back. So if we brought it closer to Malley Street to bring it down to, 1,000 square feet, then that would help us with kind of staying under and happy. But we could
Yeah,
Actually,
Yeah, very
Do that.
doable just to move it back.
move it closer to Malley
Move it,
Street.
yes, closer to Malley.
shorten the driveway.
how close we can.
We'd be willing to do that.
so do we know the right of way?
The reason, one more thing, the reason why it was 22 feet from the street was that was car length of my vehicle that could fit just perfect. I mean, it's 22 on the dot, so that's what I'd be willing to just not put it in front. I mean, it's gonna be put away mostly, but if it's ever in front, just so it's not sticking even a foot into the street. You know what I mean? Like,
What we're talking through in the impervious coverage is completely up to you, and that's not really for us here to decide. Either way, when you go through the permitting process, you'll deal with that. It's just if you were going to move it, or do you want to consider that now before applying for the permit and having to go through full water management after the fact and not realizing it. That's the only reason we're bringing it up, right? If you were to now move it closer and you're considering it, then now would be the time to do that versus realizing it later and then wanting to move it closer to avoid full stormwater management, right? And that's
So then we wouldn't.
why it's relevant. So
Yeah, so I would, I mean, it's totally up to you, but that's, I would try to move it closer to Malley Street to avoid.
Is there a definitive reason why you couldn't get into the township maximum accessory structure at 500 feet?
Yes, so before, I mean, that is pretty much the smallest that I could, I've thought about. I've gone through all the dimensions of what I could use, how much I can fit. I mean, I went from 806 square feet exactly to 572. So I just kind of thought, I mean, I realized the impervious sticks out, like the driveway and everything, but the actual building itself, I mean, square footage wise is like significantly smaller. So that is the lowest amount of variance that I'm asking for.
Well, I know you mentioned, the 22-foot driveway because that's where you can park at, but then obviously then you have a 26-foot long garage. And again, this is all us just trying to
No, I
offer
understand.
some advice to get you
Right.
to the right spot. I mean,
Yeah,
Would
so
not be parking your truck in the garage?
I am gonna be parking in the garage, but if it's in front ever, like if it's just outside, I mean, it would be sticking to the street if it was longer than 22 feet, but I'm willing to just make that driveway. I don't care if it's 12 feet. It will be in the garage at all times. It's just pulling in and out, and if you're, that was what made most sense to me, make it the same length without going too far into the neighbor's property.
As shown on the revision, I'm coming up with 29.2%. So there, with the taking in the new area as shown on that plan, the impervious coverage would be 29.2%. So still far under the maximum allowed. But not to
For building
eliminate the need for stormwater management.
Meaning no variance would be required for that?
I'm sorry.
Meaning no variance is required for that?
No
Is that what
variance
you're
is
saying?
required for the impervious
Right.
coverage item,
Okay.
29.2%.
we're gonna we'll make a decision tonight, but rather than to kind of sit up here whispering to one another, we're gonna do a quick executive session at the end. So
No problem.
just stick around, but
Okay.
we'll close out.
Public
Yeah, that's fine. She can do.
Yeah, just as someone who's like, have you guys seen what it looked like before he purchased the property?
They've seen
They've seen
We were all
Last-
pulling
last
stuff up.
month,
What's
Yeah,
that?
we were all pulling up pictures and looking at it. It wasn't about the aesthetics. It was about the
Right. Yeah,
concern.
this is,
that-
I'm sorry to be ignorant. I'm just brand new to this, like,
Yeah.
trying to get if you guys are saying what he's doing to the property. to
No,
what he
I
bought
mean, what he came in with originally was 10 by 10 garage doors. I mean, that's just not something that fits into the neighborhood. I mean, that's a warehouse.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't a good look. And that's why we just said, go back, make the changes. So,
We're gonna hang tight.
yeah, so
Awesome.
we'll,
Thank you, guys.
we're gonna close out the record though on this. So there will be no additional testimony. You'll, public comment, that's fine.
You have to come up to the.
Yeah, come
You
on
have to
up.
come up, you have to be sworn, you have to be.
Public comment. She's just,
Public
she's just
comment,
making
yeah.
public comment. So
So can you give your name and
is that microphone on? Is there a mic up there?
That right?
So just your public comments, not questions.
Well, but I'm saying,
ahead.
I was here for the last meeting and here, and I'm just asking, last meeting, if I was not mistaken, the driveway was gonna go from First back. And now the driveway is gonna go to Malley. Is that correct?
That was a misprint.
They had the names of the streets wrong on their original.
Well, no, I know that, but it's still, the way the drawing looked, it looked like the driveway was going from First back. So that was This was just completely confusing me because it was
Going on to mailing.
so.
I think
so- okay,
one
so-
picture may have shown that, but when we talked through it, it was
Just
clear
the
that it was
streets were
coming off of
backwards, just
Malley.
the way it was
Okay.
written.
I know what
And
you're
the
talking
whole
about.
building is going to be metal,
That's right.
the roof and everything?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
well, I understand.
Well, the only thing I'd ask you guys to consider is just remember the Quonset hut,
The what?
the Quonset hut that the tent we had to pay to take down. Do you remember it? Oh, you weren't here. You weren't here. Yeah, because you allowed somebody to put something on Third Avenue. There was an all metal construction. And everybody went crazy and there was big battles and it went to media and everything like that. And then us taxpayers had to pay to take it down. So I worry about the all metal, but, okay, my main thing was, I was real confused about the driveway. Thank you.
Is the material in the material of the building in the application?
The
Is
material?
the type of building in the application, in other words, would,
No, I mean, I guess you could consider how, the appeal in regard to the character of the neighborhood, but it's not something that
okay.
that I would need to disapprove.
Right, I'm just thinking more from those that were notified and have not objected so
Have I
far,
got
they
any-
would have had their chance knowing it was metal and would not have been here this evening, for example. His neighbors, for example.
So can we get some clarity? Are we moving the garage closer to Malley or not? I mean, are we trying to save some impervious surface? If so, how much? To what extent?
I would say to the exact extent that we need to move it back to
Well,
get the
you
exact square
Can't go
footage.
into the right of way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what is
and
this
then not in the
defined
right away,
at?
of course, yeah.
So, I mean, based on this drawing, it shows about 22 feet. The right of way would be 11. So you have some, about 11 feet.
So about, 10, it would be probably 10 foot
But
6.
we haven't
inches. I
done the
would-
calculation to
Right.
determine whether or not that's going to suit the 1,000 square foot, issue on the stormwater. So you're going to have to make commitment and you're going to have to do the calculation.
They just leave it open-ended.
No, that's, I think Joe's point, like you don't want to leave this vague on our end.
Yeah.
But we can say not to go in the right of way. The fact, whether it's 1,000 or not, I mean, that's not on us. We're doing that. We can say, for example, no closer to Malley than 11 feet.
Must be outside of the right of way.
And if it's not 1,000, it's not 1,000.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
That 1,000 number is really only for, because we know the project, even in its worst case condition, doesn't need a variance from impervious coverage. So that 1,000 square foot number is solely for the purpose of stormwater.
All right, we'll get together and decision.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Nice.
This one?
Tom? Yeah, the exhibit list. You want to put it with your?
Decision, I'm saying.
Okay.
Continue, and then-
Well, I don't want to trust you. I don't want to trust you with these important subjects.
That's fine. That's what I'm trying to say. She's the one. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. She said you're right. All right. Application Z 2022-06, Debra H. Schroedel, 136 Rockwood Road. Pertaining to subject property, the property owner is seeking variance relief to add a covered unclosed front porch within the front yard setback as required by section 172-34B, as well as building coverage limitation of section 172-34B subsection 3. The applicant also requests relief from any other section of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R3 zoning district. How are you? Welcome back.
Hi.
And I know this was one that we continued, but the file, everything's in order.
Well, it's total.
All right, and so where we left things from last time, I know there was some concerns over coverage, right, for what they would have to do in terms of stormwater management.
Yeah, I think the question was, that I was able to get clarification from the township engineer on was if there's an increase or an overage on building coverage, does that somehow initiate the need for stormwater management? And the answer was no. It's only that 500 square foot of impervious coverage, and you need full-blown stormwater management when you would exceed the impervious coverage limit, not the building coverage limit.
Gotcha. Are we able to pull up their plans again? Just to see.
And I did convey that through an email.
Okay.
And you spoke on the phone also, right? Mhm. Yes, I am Debra Schroedel.
So,
Greg Taggart, you weren't here for me either. Last. Taggart. Ugart. Yes.
Mhm.
since we're starting over, if you want to take us through the plans. Yeah, I know.
Well, I think the only question that was at hand, if I'm not mistaken, was about.
What, yeah, what I want to do is just do an enclosed, not an enclosed, a covered porch in the front from the whole length, the front of the house, and then come out 10 feet. So it was, the variance was for the setback and the building coverage.
Did we have discussion last time about it changing, or was that only because we were worried about?
Right, it was
The
about the
impervious,
drainage, yeah.
Minimum amount of relief requested
Yeah.
based on the area, building coverage. And there was some discussion about shrinking the size in some fashion so you get under the 20% building coverage,
Right.
right?
Well, that was, yeah, well, for this, initially it was for the drainage.
Right, but it was
Right, for
also
that, yeah.
for a request for a minimum
Right, yeah.
basis.
So I don't know how, like, what it is I can do.
Well, that's,
Oh,
we were talking about possibly, I know you're looking at coming out, what, 10 feet?
It was 10 feet off.
That we were
yes, and across the front. And then
Discussing if you could make that smaller to kind of, seek
mhm.
minimum relief here. So if there was any,
Does the width have any issue with the setback off the street?
Like the
So,
building
on
coverage,
on the
right.
Building coverage.
Andy,
There's two variances
two,
being requested,
yes.
front yard setback
right,
Yes.
and also the building coverage. So
okay,
the front yard setback is shown on the plan as 20 feet.
right,
Our ordinance requires, if you take all the exceptions, 41 and a half feet. So it allows a porch to encroach to within 41 and a half feet of the right of way line.
so they're already
And
over.
again, in this case, it's only 20, so that's a variance you have to decide on. And then the other issue was the amount of new building coverage, which our ordinance limits to 20%, and the application shows 22.5%.
But based on the email correspondence, he does not exceed the impervious coverage.
No.
Okay, so this does
Nor
not,
does stormwater kick in when the building coverage goes over the threshold.
So this was more a question of the setback.
setback and
And the
building.
building
Okay,
coverage,
the building
right.
coverage.
But
Didn't we try to figure out what size it would have to be for the
Nah,
building coverage? And
yeah,
it just
we're not
wasn't
gonna do that.
like a 10 by 1 then.
Yeah,
So on your street, there are many of these same size decks.
I'm not quite sure how far, I didn't go up and measure them, but that some of them do come out pretty far. And the reason I wanted to come out a little bit further is because of my window. I have a bay window that comes out 9 inches from the wall. So to sit out there, I would need to be able to come past it, put a chair there and not bang my head on the window.
You said there'll be a roof over top of this? Is
Yes.
that-
Mhm.
Have any questions? Andy, any concerns aside from that, though? I mean,
No, I don't have any concerns.
Do we have anyone here wishing to make public comment or party protesting? I forgot to ask that. No one? All right.
We told George to stay home.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, obviously stormwater management's an issue here, but if you're not going to exceed the impervious coverage, right? Can we just affirm one more time, we're not going to exceed the impervious coverage?
Impervious coverage is fine.
All right, then I'm going to make a motion to approve application Z 2022-06.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. All right, next up, application Z 2022-08, Paul and Nancy Cushing, 3511 Horton Road. Pertaining to the subject property, the property owner is seeking variance relief to construct a single-story, two-bedroom addition in accordance with section 172-33B, subsection 6. The applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R2 zoning district. Mr. Cushing, how are you? Is that all right? And do we have the file in order?
File in order. I think Bradley's going to put up on the screen the postings. We have
Yeah, you can
noticed that
jump
we
in if you want
sent
to.
to Delco Times, also the mailing list. The file isn't.
All right. Do a quick swap out here.
Chairman, with regard to the exhibits suggested by Township, we would ask that they be marked Exhibit T1, Township 1, Township 2, Township 3, and Township 4. Would be made part of the record with regard to tonight's proceedings in this matter.
All right. And did you get them sworn in already? Have they?
Yes. Greg Clark. Yes. Yes, and 2 G's on the Greg. Yeah. You make it work for your money, right?
He gets paid by the letter.
There you go.
All right. Cushing.
I am.
Real quick, before you get started, do we have anyone here that is a party protestant or wishing to make public comment on this application? All right, now. All right.
Before I start, I brought some letters from some of my neighbors as well as my wife's physician. If I could give them to you, there's 7 sets here, so.
I'll hand them out. Thank you.
My name is Paul Cushing. I'm the joint owner along with my wife Nancy.
Can we mark those
Mark as a record.
as part of the record as applicant Exhibit 1? I assume there are
There's
multiple
3 there.
pages.
Yep, I got it.
Altogether.
All 3 pages as applicant's Exhibit 1. Record.
All right.
I'm the joint owner along with my wife Nancy Cushing of the property at 3511 Horton Road. We're longtime residents of Newtown Square. We've been here for over 36 years. We have raised our family here. We have great neighbors. And as younger families move into the neighborhood, it has become more age diverse. But we want to stay here. With that in mind, we reached out to Mr. Greg Clark, who's here tonight, to discuss and plan options and modifications that would enable us to continue to live in our home and accommodate my wife's mobility issues. Because of her chronic and deteriorating orthopedic health, she has limited ability to fully use the existing bathrooms, as well as climb stairs to the 2nd floor. And in that package that I submitted is a letter from her physician, Dr. Larry Chu of Premier Orthopedics, describing her condition.
Dr. Chu is the medical director of the practice that specializes in non-operative rehabilitation and interventional pain management. The house we live in now, each upstairs bathroom is 34.5 square feet. Add a toilet, a sink, a shower stall, and it's currently very challenging for her to be able to just move around. It would be impossible in a wheelchair. We had installed a stair lift to the second floor, but it's becoming increasingly difficult for her to get on and off the lift. The planned addition has a fully accessible bathroom, has a large enough bedroom to accommodate her disability. However, the new addition would exceed the side yard requirements by 5 feet, as set forth in section 172-33B6 zoning ordinance. We've explored alternatives to bring the addition in compliance with the cited section, but we really haven't found a workable solution. If I could just talk about the options that we've tried to pursue. Moving the addition to align with the rest of the house would present a number of issues. New construction would encroach on the kitchen and we would lose the primary window, reducing the natural light that comes into that room. We would need to relocate the air conditioning compressor and accompanying electrical, refrigerant, and condensation lines that are connected to the air exchanger, which is in the attic. Some of the baseboard heat in both the kitchen and the den would have to be relocated or removed outright. Finally, such a change would require the contractor to relocate the access of the addition from the existing house. Since the exterior wall is load-bearing, such a move would necessitate structural changes on the existing house, of course, raising the cost of the project. The current plan calls for using an entrance that's created by existing patio doors. As an alternative, trying to squeeze down the size of the addition would defeat the whole purpose of having an accessible living space. None of our adjoining neighbors opposed the project. I've provided you copies of letters from two of our neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. John Nylands of 3513 Horton Road, and our neighbor who lives directly behind us, Ms. Barbara Hearn at 3528 Tyson. With us tonight too is Mr. Bob Ludi, who lives at 3509. It would be on his property. It would be his property that would be next to the addition. Given the lack of workable alternatives to the existing design, we're kindly asking the zoning board to grant us a variance to the aforementioned section.
Sorry, I'm looking at
That's okay.
the drawings here.
Are you the contractor?
Yes.
Okay. It's the setback.
Is there an exterior entrance to this addition or the only one that's not?
Is there any concern from the township of this being a multifamily use? Or is that a restriction that we should put on it?
I don't know. Was it testimony in multifamily?
No, but,
Putting almost like a single.
Well,
and then rent it out to somebody or something like that. But
Well, there's still,
not
only-
that, sir, not that you would, but,
No,
there's
I
still only
understand.
one kitchen though, you know? There's
Yeah,
not- not-
okay.
Our,
So it's
our
not
son and
exterior.
his spouse live with us, stands right now, so.
and we would describe, we would word the permit to recognize this is an addition to a single family. It would be covered.
And are those the only modifications? Are there any other modifications internal to the existing home that would allow it to be more accessible since there is no exterior entrance? Does that
No,
make
there
sense?
wouldn't be.
Well, and I
Oh, I'm
can,
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, the opening from the existing dwelling, we can make that, what, 36 is what we're planning. You know, and
Right.
that's with the doors within.
Okay, just curious, in case there was any other limitations on the front door of the current house or the walkway or anything like that to make it more accessible.
There's two egress doors, you know, the front door, and then there's one on the side that leads to the deck. I had thought about putting an exterior door in there because it would make my life a little easier to build it, you know, but I don't think it's practical.
That's fair.
What, just for some clarity too, why are they here? I'm just looking at it, is this regarding setbacks or?
Side yards.
We have a requirement for an aggregate side yard setback of 45 feet.
Okay.
And
And
Okay.
it
so it's
was
20.
in the existing condition, it did meet the current code requirements. However, because of the addition, having that cut out closer to the side yard, it eliminated that 5 foot that was needed for to meet the current order.
And there was, I mean, is there a reason that it bumps out like that, that it couldn't be? Oh, that was- I'm sorry. I was looking more at the plans. I apologize. Okay. Okay. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve Z 2022-8. The variance relief construction of a single story 2-bedroom according to the section 7233.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks.
Thank you.
You need to open it.
Okay.
Hear them out and then continue.
All right, next up is application Z 2022-10. Selco Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless in conjunction with the property owner Carl W. Niemeyer pertaining to the subject property at 33 South Newtown Street Road, seeking a variance relief as per section 172-70 to allow telecommunications facility at the rear of the property. The applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the C1 zoning district.
Chairman, if I might, at the request of the township solicitor as well as the applicant, there is a request before the board this evening for a continuance of this matter to the set date of June 16th, which is our June hearing date, with a condition that the applicant waive all state and local time requirements. What's that? And federal, state and local time requirements for the zoning board hearing to decide and to hear tonight's application. So with that condition, it's recommended that I think township solicitor would agree that the matter be placed on the June list.
Okay, so I make a motion to move it to the June 15th, 16th, please, 16th, with them willing to waive all state and federal time constraints. Is there a second? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just add that I do have backup emails from council with regard to those.
All right. And next up, we do have a case that was continued from last month. It's application Z 2021-37, Richard and Arlene Regner.
Is there anybody here for tennis? Sir, you're here for tennis Ave as a party protestant, right?
Yeah,
You're the, yeah, but you're.
I haven't talked to council. He hasn't reached out to me. I really did expect him to be here. Problem is, we're under a time limitation. Render a decision. So,
can we make a motion without them?
yeah, well, there's no reason not to. I mean,
Okay.
he was provided notice at the last hearing, the matter would be listed this evening. I had his cell phone number, I would reach out to him, but I don't.
Yeah. While you're doing that, we'll do a quick executive session so that we can talk about the Duveau application. All right,
We'll be back.
Rich, is that all right? We're gonna take it.
depends on the application.
You said Patricia? We need.
All right, we're back. So we just have to, before we get to your application, we have to make a decision on a case that was continued from May 19th, or I'm sorry, was continued from last month. And it's application Z 2021-37 for Richard and Arlene Regner. Is there a motion on this application?
Yes. I make a motion to approve application Z 2021-37 for 116 Locust Street with the following conditions. That the height of the building not exceed 27 feet above grade. That the side yard setback from the adjacent property at 606 Tennis be extended to 10 feet, thereby moving it laterally closer to Locust Street. With the caveat that we would approve a variance for the right-of-way restriction that creates from Locust. That a 6-foot privacy fence be constructed at the applicant's expense between the property and the adjacent property at 606 Tennis. And that the fence not extend closer to Tennis Avenue than beyond the front of the house. And that any damage to Locust Avenue, what's known as a paper street by the township, any damage caused by the construction on Locust be remedied at the applicant's expense.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And now we are on to application Z 2022-05. The record's being closed and we'll make a decision on that application. I am going to make a motion to approve the application Z 2022-05 with some restrictions. It's limited to just trucks, small cars. There's to be no equipment storage on the grounds, nothing to be stored on the exterior of the garage. Placement of the garage as shown on the revised plan that was submitted, I believe, yesterday to Andy, that proper stormwater management be followed upon permitting, and no materials stored on the outside, and any violations of any of these things could revoke any relief that's given tonight. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, yeah, motion carries. All right, yeah, good luck. Everybody voted.